Saan? Sinabihan mo? Sinabihan mo kanina? Hindi, pero sinabihan mo kanina. Si Dennis?
Good afternoon. The Office of the Ombudsman has called for this press conference at the request of the media group to clarify certain matters as well as answer questions regarding the recent decision of the Supreme Court to free former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. In the interest of time, we shall be managing the discussion and questions. Please state your name and the media outfit that you are associated with. We shall now begin the question and answer.
Good morning, Ombudsman. I'm Sandra Aguinaldo from GMA 7. What are the pieces of evidence that you think are too vital not to have been considered by the Supreme Court in its decision?
To say what pieces of evidence would have been considered by the court, given the fact that we still do not have copy of the decision. In fact, we do not know the ratio decidendi, or the reason behind this denial, no, rather the reversal of the Sandigan Bayan resolutions denying the demurrer to evidence. But what I can say is that we were able to present strong evidence consisting of 630 plus documentary exhibits, testimony of so many witnesses, which are reflected in 43 transcript of stenographic notes, as well as the records of the case from A to Z, consisting of 40 plus folder records of the case. So to us, these are exhaustive records which reflect that the prosecution was able to prove the guilt beyond reasonable doubt of the accused.
What is your next move, ma'am?
Well, we have not yet received a copy of the decision. If and when we should receive it, and we believe that a motion for reconsideration is warranted, we will certainly file one.
Yes. Hi, good morning, ma'am. Mark Kayabeb from Inquirer.net. Ma'am, can we get comment on at least the claim of the Arroyo camp that the Ombudsman is building up another case, plunder case involving the former president, this time involving an earlier period of 2004 to 2007?
It's under preliminary investigation.
Can we get details on how much is the amount? And
I
what are
cannot
the
recall the amount, but that covers the period of 2004 to 2007.
The Arroyo camp mentioned 57 million, at least 50 million, so it still constitutes plunder. Can we
Yes,
confirm
assuming that we can prove that there was pillaging or ransacking of the public treasury.
what's the update, ma'am, on the
How
preliminary investigation?
How
Is
is-
this
It's ongoing.
is this also would the former president not still expect another plunder case that would put her back in detention in this
You're
case?
referring to GMA?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if after preliminary investigation, we believe that probable cause lies, then we will certainly hail her into court.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, next question.
Good morning, Ma'am. Carolyn Bunkin from ABS-CBN. May I know your comment, ma'am, on the Supreme Court's decision to dismiss the case on the basis that there's insufficient evidence to prove that Mrs. Arroyo may be tried for plunder?
Well, if what we read in the newspapers or what we listen to media is correct, that the Supreme Court found that the decision, that the evidence of the prosecution is insufficient, then we would say otherwise. We believe that we were able to prove the guilt of GMA beyond reasonable doubt. Let me inform you that one of the co-accused, alleged conspirators of Gloria, is Uriarte. Uriarte has remained at large. Either she's still alive, hiding somewhere, or she is 6 feet below the ground, but no one has informed about her present status. Uriarte is one of the principal co-accused of GMA. And as the saying goes, if you are innocent, then you are as bold as a lion. But flight can indicate also guilt. I said indicate. I'm not saying that. Now, if the Supreme Court indeed believes that the evidence of the prosecution is insufficient, we believe otherwise, because you see, the alleged, or part of the alleged CIA funds went to Armed Forces of the Philippines, and the others went to the NBI. But the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the NBI denied that there was ever any request for intelligence funds, and they also denied having been beneficiary of any amount from the PCSO. Lastly, one of the accused of GMA, Aguas, certified under oath that 244 plus million of the 300 plus intelligence funds of the CIA, of the PCSO, went to the office of the president. You will recall that, I don't know, I'm not saying, but you will recall, in our opposition or comment to the petition of GMA before the Supreme Court, we emphasized the fact that 244 plus million went back to Malacanang, and 140 plus million of that were given to the office of the president in January 2010 up to June 2010, which was, parenthetically, election period.
Ma'am, but according to Attorney Eleno Mendoza,
Is Estelito.
Estelito Mendoza, sa dami po ng documents and witness na present, wala po kahit isa doon na nagsasabi na meron talaga siyang nakuha na pera o nagamit.
That is a literal interpretation of plunder. As I said yesterday, ang gusto nilang maintindihan ay yung plunder ay ikaw mismo ay kumuha at nagtago ng 50 million and above. You will recall that the charge is for conspiracy. Conspiracy, the act of one is the act of all. There have been series of acts that when put together would show that there was indeed conspiracy and that the accused, the principal accused, are guilty of having pillaged the public treasury and beyond the amount of 50 million pesos.
Next question.
Ma'am, final question na lang from me. Follow up po dun sa pangalawang plunder complaint kay Mrs. Arroyo. Attorney Lawrence Arroyo said, hindi ba double jeopardy na po yun pag i-file nyo pa ulit?
It cannot be double jeopardy because it covers a different period.
Henry.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, yung
You
Uriel,
identify yourself, please.
yung Henry Umaga Diaz, ABS-CBN. Ma'am, yung Uriarte, wala nang report tungkol sa kanya.
Yes.
So,
I've not heard from her.
Aha.
The warrant of arrest against her stands.
So, she has a warrant of arrest.
Yes.
So, pag nahuli siya, o pag nakita siya, is there a possibility na ma-reopen?
Well, as far as the case against her is concerned, it's alive. The case against her is not closed. It has not been archived. So, buhay na buhay ang kaso against her.
Okay. How about if she testifies against GMA? If she testifies against the GMA, so is there a possibility na
There are so many possibilities that such eventuality will spawn.
Good
Next question.
afternoon, Ombudsman. I'm DJ Yap from the Philippine Daily Inquirer. Ma'am, some observers have said that the incarceration of Gloria Arroyo was emblematic of the previous administration's Daang Matuwid anti-corruption drive. And now that she's on the verge of being freed, there's some concern or some alarm that this might signal some kind of unraveling of the anti-corruption drive of the government. Could you tell us your thoughts about this? And
That's their opinion. As far as the Office of the Ombudsman is concerned, we're doing our job to prosecute the accused, to find probable cause, or to dismiss the case if there's no probable cause. And all these speculations are merely speculatory.
ma'am, you don't believe that there was a political color in the decision of the Supreme Court?
Please, next question.
Ma'am Glenn Duego sa DCWB. Ma'am, ask ko lang, I'm sure law expert din naman yung mga nasa Supreme Court. Sa tingin ninyo, ano naging dahilan kung bakit naging ganun yung desisyon nila?
I would not venture a guess, especially given that we have not received a copy of the decision.
Hi, ma'am. Magandang hapon po. Robert Mano from DZMM. Ma'am, nakausap niyo na po ba yung mga prosecutor na may hawak dun sa plunder case?
Yes.
And there, ano po yung kanilang naging epekto sa kanila? Ikinabagsak ba ng kanilang moral yung naging desisyon ng Supreme Court?
It's just natural that they are disappointed. They are disheartened. But they know that they should move on. This is not the end of the line. We have other options, one of which or two of which we will exercise. Hindi sila nadi-discourage because they're very, very firm that they were able to prove the guilt of the accused beyond reasonable doubt. When you are able to prove the guilt of the accused beyond reasonable doubt after the prosecution rests its case, the burden of the evidence shifts to the defense. So we had expected that after the prosecution was able to prove, according to us, the guilt of GMA beyond reasonable doubt, the burden of evidence should have shifted to her, and she should have presented evidence to controvert our evidence. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court thought that our evidence was insufficient, contrary to what the media says, that lack of evidence.
All right.
No more questions?
Any questions?
Ma'am, David Santos po, ma'am, from CNN Philippines. Ma'am, can you elaborate lang po yung ating legal options pa po, ma'am? Aside, nabanggit niyo pa-
Marami tayong legal options. I'm not going to place our cards on the table. I don't like to open the eyes of our detractors.
But basically, ma'am, definitely ang MR is...
Of course, we will consider that. Not definitely. We will consider that among other options.
Hindi pa po final and executory.
No,
po.
kasi wala naman kami natanggap na decision, copy ng decision. So we're just groping in the dark.
Thank you very much.
Next question.
Ma'am Carolyn again from ABS-CBN. Ma'am, you said yesterday that the Supreme Court denied your request for an oral argument to explain your evidence. Yes, ma'am.
Let me, I thought that I was able to convey what I wanted to convey. It was actually the defense, GMA, which asked for the conduct of an oral argument. And we put that in writing, that we concurred with it, because we thought that the Supreme Court was going to grant that. We prepared our documentary exhibits, we prepared PowerPoint for presentation, everything. We are ready. Even at the moment, we are ready. Unfortunately, there was no resolution on the prayer of the defense for the conduct of oral arguments.
Ma'am, pero sa tingin niyo po ba, gano'n ka-vital po na ma-explain niyo yung evidence niyo sana sa Supreme Court? Ano po yung na-miss ng Supreme Court?
Well, of course, our evidence is reflected in the decision of the Sandigan Bayan, which correctly assessed the evidence. But if any doubts linger in the minds of the magistrates, we are ready to present our evidence via PowerPoint presentation and via representation of documentary exhibits.
Any more questions? Yeah.
Ma'am, Sandra again. Meanwhile, Congresswoman Arroyo is about to leave the hospital. So, are you saying that she shouldn't be too happy because she can be brought back in jail again?
She isn't too happy? Why don't you propound that question to her, darling?
Do you think she can be brought back in jail again, ma'am?
It would depend on the result of our preliminary investigation. And even assuming that we find probable cause to hail her into court, again, it would depend on the assessment by the Sandigan Bayan of whether indeed there is probable cause. You see, more often than not, some accused always ask for judicial determination as opposed to executive determination of probable cause.
Any more questions?
We take it that you no longer, okay.
Ma'am,
May
I
huling
guess
hirit.
to
Last
sub-
three?
Yes,
Last
I guess
three
to
questions.
close to follow up na lang. Ma'am, there have been comments that this is
There have been
comments that the ombudsman's prosecution is more of a persecution, at least according to supporters of Arroyo.
Depending on the way, on which side you side with. If you believe that you are with the defense, sasabihin nila persecution. On the contrary, we are only doing our mandate. We prosecute if necessary. We also dismiss cases if necessary too. We have to balance our role. We just don't prosecute, we also dismiss if necessary. Hindi pwede naman na just because you are a prosecutor, you prosecute and prosecute. No way. You have to see also the merits of your case. If you believe that there's no merit of your case, then of course, you will dismiss the case. Otherwise, you do not discharge your duty if you are cowed by the opinions of others that you are persecuting or you are not persecuting.
Okay.
Ma'am Robert again from DZFM. Last na lang po. After po nung decision yesterday nung nagpa-press con sa Supreme Court, there are different reactions na po na lumabas and there are certain personalities na nagsasabi na dahil dun sa naging decision ng Supreme Court ay dapat daw po mag-resign kayo dahil hindi ninyo na ipanalo yung kaso. Your reaction lang
Do
po.
I have to win all cases I file? Do you have to fault the prosecutors if they lose cases? Do you have to fault the Sandigan Bayan if their decisions are reversed? Sagutin mo.
Hold on.
Always
another
last. There's
question from
always a
Sec-
last time. Okay.
Ma'am, Peter Tabingo from Malaya. What the Supreme Court dismissed was the plunder case. Is there a possibility of filing lesser offense?
The Supreme Court is the right institution to answer that.
Okay, Henry?
Yeah. Ma'am, Henry again. I understand the Sandigan Bayan denied the request for bail several times.
That's right.
And
4 times.
4 times
They
actually.
filed a request to be allowed to go on bail on different nomenclatures. But just the same, the Sandigan Bayan saw it fit to deny the petition for bail.
So how do you react? And yet the Supreme Court decided in favor.
Darling, you ask the Supreme Court, don't ask the Ombudsman.
Okay, Sandra, last question.
Dismissal lang pwede bang sampahan ulit? The prosecution has already rested its case. So, pag sinabi nila na insufficient, hindi mo na pwedeng mag-present ka ulit ng evidence. That's not sanctioned by our rules, our law, and the Constitution.
With that, this closes our...
Let me emphasize that the Sandigan Bayan, in its decision denying the demurrer to evidence, clearly explains why the accused is guilty of plunder. So I hope you have occasion to read the decision of the Sandigan Bayan so that you will be more enlightened. No more questions? Takot ba kayo? By the tone of my voice? Okay, yes. May hirit pa. What do you know? We are independent. We do not take orders from the president. We don't take signals from the president. We do our duty in accordance with what is expected of us. Wala kaming sinusundan na guideline or there's this order na sinasabi. It is unfair to charge us to be lapdogs of the present administration. Siguro naman hindi kami mukhang aso. Speak louder. Please stand up. Ay nako, hindi marinig.
Hello.
Hello. Ayan. Good morning, Ombudsman. Would just like to ask, Amina Tolentino from the Manila Times. Would just like to ask regarding the other cases of former President Arroyo. She still has graft cases regarding the NBN ZTE deal. How confident is the Ombudsman po that it will win these cases po?
How
confident po is the Ombudsman that...
Well, you see, when we file cases, we are very confident that the evidence we gathered supports the conviction of the accused. No? But there are several factors that are inputted in the arriving of the decision. So, as far as we're concerned, we are confident. Otra cosa, it gets a different color when it reaches the court, depending on how the justices look at it, depending on how the justices give credibility to witnesses and to testimony. So we're very confident that we can secure acquittal in the same manner that we can get conviction in the same manner that we were very, very confident that we would get the conviction of the accused. Unfortunately, we were wrong in our appreciation.
Ay, Ombudsman. Opo. Val Gonzalez po, DZRH. Opo, good afternoon. Right after President Aquino stepped out of the office, several cases has been filed before the office of the Ombudsman. Kumusta na ho yung kasong...
They're under investigation, evaluation first, before they are investigated. If it goes to the investigation stage, they're being evaluated. Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can file a case and then expect that the case be given due course. Ini-evaluate naman namin. Depending on the complexity of the issues, medyo it would take a little time, but definitely ini-evaluate namin.
Thank you.
Okay.
Tana?
Ma'am.
Oh, yes.
So, nabanggit nyo kanina dun sa isang kaso dun sa NBN, ZTE. So, ongoing pa yung
Yes, it's before the court.
before the court. And the 2004 to 2007 PCSO case then is
Yes.
under investigation.
Preliminary investigation.
Preliminary. So, hindi mo pala tapos. There's still that possibility na babalik sa kulungan kung sakali si GMA.
If we find probable cause, yes, of course. Because as I said earlier, it covers a different period.
And also yung ZTE case, it depends on the Sandigan Bayan then.
Yes, because sila ang nagbibista eh. Kami, we just prosecute. We investigate and prosecute. It is the court which is the final arbiter of whether one is guilty or not. But then again, whatever decision of the Sandigan Bayan would come out, the parties can always appeal to the Supreme Court. Because criminal cases passed upon by the Sandigan Bayan are appealed directly to the Supreme Court.
Ma'am, Caroline again from ABS-CBN. Ma'am, may I know po yung batting average ng cases na na-file ng prosecution? And do you think it should be the sole basis to determine the efficiency of the Ombudsman?
Ang batting average namin definitely mataas naman, relatively high as compared to previous years. So we're happy. And also our average as far as appellate cases are concerned, mataas-taas rin. So if you say that's an indication of the efficiency of the prosecutors, not necessarily. You are mouthing something which I cannot hear.
Ma'am, what else? Ano pa po yung ibang basis, ma'am, if ever? Kasi given na may mga malalaking cases po na nadi-dismiss din when it comes to Sandigan Bayan na or sa Supreme Court.
Well, some cases are dismissed by the Sandigan Bayan due to inordinate delay. They are taking cue from the Supreme Court doctrine that the delay is reckoned from the time the case is subjected to fact-finding instead of reckoning it from the time the case is subjected to preliminary investigation. But that is another story which I'm not going to elaborate on. Sandra, you're raising your head again.
Sorry, Mama. Considering that 11-4 po yung decision, meron din po bang siguro pagkakataon for introspection or pag-iisip kung maaring merong pagkakamali or pagkukulang on the side of the prosecution, ma'am?
Maaring may pagkukulang. As far as I'm concerned, in this particular case, walang pagkukulang ang prosecution. It did its best. In the same manner that the Sandigan Bayan, I believe this is best also to analyze, to filter the facts from the impurities. And I believe that the Sandigan Bayan did its work very well. Unfortunately, as I said, what the media are saying is that insufficient daw yung evidence.
There are no more questions. We now like to close this press conference.
Have you had lunch? Sige, it's time to...
Thank you, Madam Ombudsman. Thank you, colleagues from the press.
Caroline.